Welcome to another episode of From Startup to Wunderbrand with Nicholas Kuhner. Rachel Allen, I've never gone blank like that before. I had a beautiful line written up in the front here, and then I read it, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So let's just start. Let's just start again, shall we? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use your very wonderful 19-word short bio, which I thought was very smart. Rachel Allen provides data-driven, human-centered marketing for good people doing hard work that matters. So what I loved about that, straight to the point, and there are very few guests that I've had that have done good copywriting for themselves. My previous guest, and he'll forgive me, but he had a publicist write his bio, and it had words like, and I've just got to open it real quickly because I was having a nice laugh. I won't put the name, but thrilling, these are the kind of words: thrilling, intersection, infusing, innovation, profound. And I was thinking, wow, if you're putting those kind of terms in your bio, you better be giving me gold from minute one. So we had a nice little chat about that. But yours is nice and straight to the point, and I really like how simple and clean your website is. So let's talk a little bit about Rachel. Copywriting, obviously very strong in that, and you've been running your business for 16 years or so now. So maybe just talk to me about what is it that you do, and then we're going to go into a couple of details on copywriting.
Yeah. Well, the pithy version of what I do is I make words make money. And the sort of LinkedIn version is I'm a marketing strategist and a fractional CMO. So founders often bring me in when they have either a problem with their marketing they can't quite solve, and they've tried a bunch of things, but they're stuck or they've plateaued, or they're coming into a big transition, or they've got a big project they want to get off the ground, and they want someone to come in who can really think it through with them and provide that external strategy brain, and then also make sure all the marketing trains run on time so that the thing actually gets out the door.
Well, what's been stressing a lot of people out recently, obviously, is AI. And especially copywriters, or should I say not great copywriters, are probably stressing out quite a lot, because you can do fantastic stuff with ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini and all of these, like really good stuff.
Yeah.
But no personality, doesn't really get you across properly. No matter if you say write in the style of XYZ, I had a play I wrote and I put it in. I said, let's see how we can rework this. And it completely was not me. I was like, no, bugger that. I'm going to do it myself. But it gave me some good pointers how to structure it better. And so that was good. But for actually coming up with good content, no.
You know, I found that it works very well as a marketing intern. I don't really use it in my own work just because I don't really find a need for it, but I do have some clients that request me that I specifically use it. And I'm like, you know what, that's fine. I've managed human interns. I will manage a robot intern, whatever. It can give me a nice thinking partner, and it can give me a good first draft, and then I can look at that and be like, oh no, absolutely not. And then go in and fix it and make it sound like a person.
Yeah, probably will have thrilling and visionary in it. In the
empowering. That's the big one. Oh, and transparent and integrity. Those are the words everyone's using.
The best, my favorite is visionary. As soon as I see that, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna squeeze you if you say visionary, because I need something visionary.
Right.
It's so overused. It really is quite a dangerous word. Now, I was looking on your website and I saw this marvelous line. Do you cringe at the thought of sending people to your site? Let's fix that. And you've got a 3-day summer camp. And I loved that so much because it just gets straight to the point. It's not saying, do you want to make it's just saying, it's the feeling. You're going into feelings. So are you cringing? Yes. Often I've looked at my websites and go, ooh, and cringe is the right word. So let's talk a little bit about how this summer camp works, because 3 days of copywriting, I mean, for people who don't do copywriting. So who's this for? And then what are you doing in how are you squeezing in work into 3 days, or stretching out work for 3 days?
So it's actually a summer copy offer. So no one attends like a camp situation. But what people do is they come to me and I look at their core 3 pages. And usually, of course, it's going to be home about services. Sometimes it'll be like, oh, I'm selling 3 things. I need 3 sales pages. And we have a chat and I'm like, all right, why don't you like it? What's embarrassing about it? Why is it not you? And of course, it's almost always because like, oh, it's out of date, or somebody wrote it who didn't really understand what I do. I've been seeing a lot of that. or I just don't like it. There's something about it where it just makes me feel embarrassed to send people to it. And so, quelle surprise, it's not converting very well because they're not sending anyone to look at it because they feel embarrassed. And so we have a nice conversation about that. I go away and fix it, and then I send them off with a lovely implementation plan to say, like, all right, now you're not embarrassed. Here's what you should do next. Also, I noticed ABC about your marketing. You should probably do that too.
So it seems to me that with your sort of extensive marketing background as well, you're not just looking at the copy side, but you'll be saying, well, you're missing this. Have you thought about the customer journey? Have you thought
Hmm.
about, you probably will get customers to think a little bit more about their business. So perhaps people are starting out or been doing it for a while and have just, neglected their website a little bit. Maybe let's talk about the importance of, I really like this question, and it's something that I think about sometimes as well, because I want engagement with my copy, and it's why aren't people buying my thing or engaging with my content? So
Yeah.
maybe let's talk a little bit about engaging with content, because there are lots of vanity numbers that are floated out there, and maybe talk to me a little bit about the difference between vanity numbers and getting the right, how much is the right number of people coming to your looking at your content.
Yeah. That's such a good question. I think I would define a vanity number as anything that you can change by messing with an algorithm. If you can game it, it's probably a vanity number because someone will figure out how to game it. And then, of course, they'll change the system and then you just figure out how to game it all over again, which we see happen in entrepreneurship about every 4 years. There's a massive reset and everyone's like, oh, the internet's over. Go home. We can't do it. And it's like, no, your tricks just don't work. So, as far as what is the right number, I mean, it's the number of people that you need to actually buy the thing. There's It's going to depend on what the offer is. It's going to depend on who you are and what you're selling. I've worked with clients who run very high volume businesses where we're selling truckloads of face creams. And I've worked with people who they're like, you know what, I need 4 clients a year and that's it. And so, generally speaking, if you are only looking for a few clients, you only need to send about 3 times the amount of invites as people that you actually want. You can normally convert at about that rate if you're not terrible at this. And then for a higher volume business, obviously those numbers do tend to extend. So, conventional wisdom is you want about 10 times the number of views as sales that you want. Again, there's ways that you can do better than that, but that's a solid baseline.
Yeah, I think that it's good to remember that sort of 10 to 1 is typically what folks are going to be looking at.
Hmm.
But when we're talking about engagement, so not necessarily sales, I think let's maybe break down the word engagement.
Mm.
And maybe you can explain to folks who are not very clued up on customer journeys and how important that is, the difference between getting somebody to buy and getting somebody to engage with your content.
That's such a good delineation. So, getting someone to buy is normally the last stage, and that's when they actually click the button. They look at the thing, they trust you, they know you, maybe they've spoken to you, and they're like, absolutely take my money. Engagement is they're talking to you on LinkedIn, they're commenting on your Instagram reels or sharing them, they're emailing you. I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm also seeing a lot of very private engagement these days. There's a lot of group chats happening, there's a lot of signal loops. And I know earlier you posed the question, why aren't people buying my thing? And when people say that to me nowadays, I tell them it's because their friends don't like you. That's why. They've asked the Voxer chat and they're like, nah, you should pass.
You speak about engagement on groups and sort of that sort of more intimate communication environment. That's quite a tough one because talking to people is a skill,
Mm-hmm.
and not everyone has it, and not everyone has the patience for it, or the time. What kind of strategies do you look at that in that space? This is where where copywriting comes in again. Canned answers or having your scripts ready is going to make
Mm.
a difference, right?
Well, I mean, it depends on how good your scripts are because I think we've all been on the receiving end of a canned LinkedIn conversation where it just happens no matter what you say, they're going to send the next message.
The
So,
next 40 emails.
my gosh, yes. Can we have a virtual coffee? No, we cannot.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
The next mail, I see you didn't accept my virtual coffee.
Exactly. My favorite one that I got recently was, I feel like I'm being ditched on prom night. I'm like, well, that tells me a lot about you. But I think going back to your point, it is useful to know you need to have the canned concepts, if not the canned answers. So when someone comes to you and they're like, who are you? What do you do? And why do I care? If you're like, I like write stuff and thing, like, no, you know, you need to be able to say, I make words make money, or I do whatever your thing is. But I think where a lot of people fall down is they get overwhelmed or they get bored or they just don't think about it as an actual conversation and they just say the words at people over and over and over again. They broadcast as opposed to being like, I don't know, why do you want to know? Like, what do you want to know? Where are you at? What do you need? And making it a very dynamic thing.
One of the things I want to delve into slightly deeper on that, because I don't like these chat group things. I've got very limited sort of attention spans and so on. So I generally get other folks to run those for me.
Yeah.
But the problem is tone of voice changes
Yes.
then. So maybe talk to us, explain a little bit around what tone of voice is and how one can maintain tone of voice in communications like this.
Tone of voice is what lets people who don't know you see something and be like, that sounds exactly like Nicholas. Like, of course, that's who it is. And so, as you're alluding to, it's very important to be consistent with it because if you have a clear tone of voice and then you have, say, a virtual assistant come in and they're posting for you and they don't sound like you, that's a massive blow to your brand equity. It creates a lot of cognitive dissonance. And I think we've all experienced this. I've had VAs in the past where, they'll email people back supposedly from me being like, LOL, sounds great. Let's make it happen. And I'm like, I would never say such a thing. So the way that you keep it consistent is, first of all, actually defining it, which is one of those hard things because, of course, it's natural to you. You know that you would never say LOL bestie, but you never think you'd have to spell that out to somebody else. And then understanding that people will misunderstand your voice in ways you could have never imagined. So you have to get extremely granular with it. And this is where I find that a parallel handoff works very well. So if you have them watch you write the emails for a while, you CC them on the emails, or you have them watch you in the group chat, then they start to pick up on it and they kind of pick up the latent rules of your particular language. And then write it down, especially if you're working with a large team. That's where a strong brand guide comes in. You need somebody to say, we use these words, we do not use these words. We swear, we don't swear. Our calls to action look like this.
Yeah. That's the point I want to get to, is that you've got to, what is the word, codify your language basically. So
Yes.
These are the words we use. This is the personality we are trying to put across. And that will help with brand building. People know what to expect, because some people, if they're going to a bank, they don't want LOL. They want somebody who takes them seriously. So that's obviously important. Now, let's go back a little bit in time. Now, you didn't start out in copywriting, did you?
I did not. So I started in journalism. I majored in journalism and English or Asian studies. I really wanted to work for The Economist in Hong Kong. That was my big dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually at one of the first universities in the US to do what was called new journalism, which was, brace yourself, journalism on the internet.
The interwebs.
Right. Exactly. They were like, all right, now just brace yourself for the future, people. And then, of course, I graduated into the 2008 recession, and no one was hiring. And the only job I could get was unpacking boxes at an Old Navy warehouse. And I did not especially enjoy that. So in my 22-year-old brain, I thought, I'm in Tennessee. Where's the absolute furthest place I can get? And that was Hong Kong. So I bought a plane ticket and moved there. But I did not get a work visa before I left because, 22. And so I'm sitting there Googling like how to make money online because I need to make rent. And this content mill thing popped up. And I had no idea it was called that. I didn't know what it was. I was pretty sure it was a scam. But who am I to turn my nose up at $3.25, So I was like, I don't know. I guess I'll give it a try. And they paid me. And I was just absolutely hooked because I couldn't believe someone would pay me to write. And that's how I got into this whole thing. I fell into it completely backwards, but I started doing the content mill stuff. And then I started getting really interested in the psychology of copywriting. And then I grew it into a real business.
I think people underestimate the importance of repetition. And I had a chat with another copywriter recently about how Mozart and Bach and all of these folks, they played every day.
Yes.
At restaurants, at, functions, at church, etc. And that's how they got so good. So I always trust somebody who's had to start from absolute ground zero and just churn out work, because it becomes easier, and you also can spot trash much quicker
Yes.
than folks who haven't done it.
Yes, absolutely. One of my very first jobs for the content mill was writing meta descriptions, like the little paragraph that comes up when you see something on Google. And
Yeah.
they paid me 65 cents per meta description. So I got to where I could do 300 in an hour and actually earn like decent money doing it. But it makes you very fast and you get very good at writing things quickly.
And you probably learned quite a lot during that period as well, in terms of just, you probably did medical things, you probably did things on how a sawmill works and interesting things like that. So that's very cool. I've just written an article on, because you're talking, your studies were in sort of on China and
Hmm.
I think economics and politics. And I've just written an article on BRICS, which is the Brazil,
Yeah.
Russia, India, China, and then SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation
Hmm.
Organization, from a brand perspective, and looking at how BRICS, so BRICS, they've been trying to build up that name, and then this SCO has sort of eaten their lunch because it's got India, China, and Russia, which are actually the
Yeah.
three big players. Nobody cares about Brazil and South Africa
Right.
and so on. And just the difference, which brand is going to win in terms of the mind, from a political sense, which one is people going to take more seriously. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, I'll send that link and you can have a read.
I would love that. What I think is especially fascinating about that you pulled out is like BRICS has been a thing because I know it was in my political science degree, 20 years ago? They've been trying to make this a thing for so long, and it just doesn't matter because everyone knows that we have the tacit global agreement that they're just not on the same level as those other three countries.
And there's no money behind it. So
Yes.
unfortunately, like with all big brands, there has to be money. And you could see in this conference in Shanghai where the money was being spent, and it wasn't being spent on the little hokey pokeys and some theoretical economic wish list that they had. Now, let's go through a couple of your services quickly and maybe your workshops, because I do love that workshop that you mentioned. Maybe talk to me about some other workshops that you've got.
So the one that everyone loves is how to write a bio without sounding braggy, boring, or like you have bad boundaries. And that baffles me because I put it together in about 20 minutes 10 years ago, and I like it as a little throwaway offer for someone, and people love it. I have taught that thing everywhere. So, as the name states, I will actually walk you through how to write a bio on the thing. We play a little game called Legos, Dinos, and Leaves, so everybody enjoys that. But what I love about it is it gives people a concrete way to do something that's pretty hard. It sounds like it should be easy, but you sit down to write your bio and you're like, I don't know, who am I? What do I do?
Who am I?
So,
I just wanted to stop you there because writing a bio, oh yeah, that sounds easy enough. But when you try and write it, you actually have an existential thing like, who am I? Am I as good as I say I am? Am I
yeah.
visionary? The words that you use they have a deeper importance because each word, especially on LinkedIn and that, has to be very well chosen because there's a lot of trash out there. And if you want to stand out or you really want to explain who you are, it's really important to go through this process.
Yeah, and it's hard to find words that are both uniquely you and accurate to what you're trying to say. And so that's why people fall back on like the second best words of all the things you said. Thriving, empowerment, guru, transparent. Yes, yes.
Good. Well, I like that one. You've got a positioning one. You've
Mm-hmm.
got on emails, how
Mm-hmm.
to pitch for people who hate pitching. So a whole bunch of
Mm-hmm.
cool things. So I'd love to chat to you about that at some stage as well.
Yeah.
Folks want to get in touch with you because they need a little bit of good writing, which you've done, and it's so your website is so cute. It's so tight and nice. So I like it.
Thank you.
Not lots of pictures. Where can folks get in touch with you?
They can find me at boltfromthebluecopywriting.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, or they can email me like it is the ancient times at hello@boltfromthebluecopywriting.com.
Great. And you've got a Substack as well, I see.
I
What goes
do.
on there?
Substack, I do 2 posts per month. One is sort of a bigger teach piece, and one is a template because I've got this odd thing about my brain that once I've written something, the bones of it just kind of live as a template. And so I started actually typing those out and sharing them with people so they can kind of mad lib their way into some really good copy.
Excellent. Well, some interesting resources and a bit of an outline for folks who don't know that much about copywriting, which is good. Rachel, thank you so much. It's been great.
Yeah, thank you. I really enjoyed it.
I really do appreciate your comments. So why not go and watch this live on YouTube or go to my website, kuhne.no. That's kuhne.no for more information.